Hey beautiful people, what is up and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another new makeup releases video. Y'all, this one's gonna be spicy. It's also gonna be long, so make sure you get your snacks. Make sure you give yourself a little libation. It could be a beverage, a non-alcoholic beverage if you choose. It is morning here, so for me, I'm having a teacap. So I got me a little cup of chai ready to go. It's seeping a little bit. I want it to get, you know, nice and... Is thick the right word? It might not be the right word, but either way, that's neither here nor there. You guys already know for my new makeup releases video, we're gonna go through all of the new products to hit the market, and I'm gonna give you guys my thoughts on in terms of how am I feeling about the release. What do I think is going to happen in terms of if it's going to go on sale? I will always let you guys know how I feel about the price, all of that fun jazz. And I know I missed last week. I was just super duper tired, you guys, so I apologize. I just needed a break. And even today, I'm only filming one video this weekend, so that's kind of where we're at right now. So go ahead and get comfy because we are about to dive right in. Per usual, I'm going to be using Makeup on Your Radar Instagram's page to go through all the new makeup releases. And just because I know I'll have somebody ask, I am actually wearing the Geodes palette from What's Up Beauty. That's pretty much the main product for today's look. But I am also using the new Ren Beauty blush and bronzer, which I do have a full video on in case you guys were interested. So that's kind of what this face is giving. Also Tracy on the lips. It's just, if nothing else, and if I have, wait, no, it's not Tracy. Oh my Jesus. I am so sorry. I'm so used to putting Tracy on the lips that I just kind of assumed it was. This is actually a Pat McGrath lipstick. I'm actually wearing the shade Entranced from Pat McGrath. My bad. But on a real though, typically I am wearing Tracy if I can't think of anything else. But that's this face, that's this look. I'm also getting used to the shorter hair, which you probably should have seen a few times now. If not, I did cut my hair. So it's about half the length of what it used to be. And I'm working on getting it healthier and just getting like a little halo afro. I don't think that's what it's officially called, but that's the goal. Anyways, this intro has become too long, so I'm gonna go ahead and scooch these sides so I can insert photos, and let's just dive right in. Okay, so first up we have the final reveal of the Glaminatrix pastel palette. What is this called? Pretty in Pastels. So I don't know about what the price of this is going to be. Glaminatrix is a Australian-based brand, so aside from the price, oh wait, no, they do have a price. So it's $43 USD. So aside from the price, it does cost a bit to get things shipped here to the US. So, you know, I have really not purchased anything from the brand. The one palette that I purchased, I absolutely hated. And I gave it to my friend Queerbones. I could not. The matte formula, whoo, Jesus. When I tell y'all, I felt triggered and personally offended by that matte. And I remember this distinctly because I made the foolish decision to take that palette on a work trip with me. And typically when I travel for work, I only carry my tried and true. I only carry the things that I know 100% are going to work for me. And I was like, oh, no, this is going to be fine. The way I struggled, and you know when you're traveling, there's nothing you could do about it. So I was kind of stuck with the palette. So I couldn't deal with it. That being said, just matte pastels in general are not something I go for. I am black, again, surprise, but because I have a darker complexion and pastels are basically white-based shadows, they don't work as easily for deeper complexions as they do for lighter complexions. Not that they can't work, it's just that you have to do a little bit more to get it to work. And that typically includes putting down a white base and all of this extra stuff that one, I'm not skilled enough to do, and two, just don't want to. Like, I don't want to work hard when it comes to eyeshadow. So this is just not a palette that I'm interested in. And yes, I understand that there is a whole deep row which you can use to make the depth better for deeper complexions, but I'm not interested in it. I just don't like pastels. I should just say that straight up. Pastels, it's not for me. And that, I think, is completely fine. So this release, did y'all know this was happening? Terra Moons has a couple of eyeshadow palettes that are coming out. I was like, did we know this was coming? Because it came as a bit of a surprise to me. But apparently this was supposed to launch, but they're postponing the launch date to the 27th because I think that folks that they sent PR to haven't received their palettes just yet, or they've arrived damaged. So they want to make sure that they have swatches available so people can actually purchase the palette. Personally, I think that is a very, very smart move. I've said this multiple times. When it comes to buying eyeshadows, I need swatches. I need to figure out, is this going to work on my complexion? So I rely very, very heavily on swatches. And if I can't find it in my skin tone, it really does irritate my soul to another level. So I'm glad that they are waiting to make sure that people have all the information that they need before making this collection available. In terms of the collection, there's Lovers on the Sun palette, and it has two versions, Solar and the Lunar version. The Solar version has 2 multi-chromes, 1 duochrome, and 3 mattes, and that's going to be $39. It's not bad for a 6-pan. I mean, it is on the more expensive side, but Terra Moons is also not a cheap brand. The Lunar version has 3 multi-chromes, 1 superfoil metallic, and 2 mattes, and that's going to be $45. Okay, then they have 10 singles launching, 9 are multi-chromes, and 1 is a duochrome. They also have 4 new glosses that are going to be available. I don't know what the price of the glosses are. So this is going to be available on the 27th, 6 p.m. Let me just say this. I don't understand or like the color story of the palettes. The purple one, maybe. That one I think is a little cohesive. The other one, I don't know what to do with that. You have a yellow, orange, and a green matte. And then 3 shimmers / multi-chrome / duochromes. I don't like this. Like, Terra Moon's formula aside, I just feel like the color story of these palettes, I am not a fan. I'm also quite surprised that they're doing palettes. Is this where they're heading towards? Because even when we think back to that last palette that they did, the big one that had the 2 mattes in it that you could pick, that color story didn't make sense either. It felt to me like a bunch of like a bunch of singles that they threw into a palette, and they were like, hey, pick 2 matte shades. So I will say, from seeing the palettes that Terra Moons has put out, I have not been impressed. Like, their singles are always phenomenal, but a single is like a single. So watching them put color stories together, I don't like it. I just don't think that they're doing a very good job. But that's just me. Let me know what you guys think. Have you guys seen the Terra Moons palettes, including the last one that they put out? And are they catching your eye? Are you interested in them? Okay, so next up we have a release from CXC Beauty. This is the Out of Luck palette. Okay, it's available now. I don't see a price yet. Hold on, let me see if I can find out. Okay, I have to go all the way to the website. So it's available now. It's $59 for the palette. Let's see. I can't tell if they're multi-chrome. It does look like there's at least 1 multi-chrome in this. It's a mix of grays and greens. Let me just say that this is a very, very large palette for it to just be greens and grays. Like, this could have been a 9-pan. Quite frankly, if you cover the right side of the palette, those 16 shades, you have a really cute 9-pan on the left side. Like, there are so many different configurations of 9-pans in here that are actually very, very nice. Point is, I just don't think that this palette needed to be that large because it's green and it's gray. Just team too large. I know that this is another AI palette. I'm not going to go into, like, a whole spiel on AI. I did talk about it in my Bacchanal video from a couple of videos ago. So if you want to hear my thoughts on AI just generally, just, I'll like, go watch that one. But it is what it is. I'm talking about the color story in particular. I'm not feeling it. I will say, though, the amount of shadows that are in here, the fact that this is $59 does feel like a good price. So price-wise, I'm not mad at it. I don't know anything about the CXC Beauty formula, so if you have tried it, leave it down in the comments so others can know. And like I said, it is available now. Moving on to another large palette that didn't need to be this big. But they did create minis. Beauty Bay has a new palette. It's this smoky palette. This is basically the Natasha Denona Xenon palette in the Beauty Bay formula, which means it's going to be at the Beauty Bay price, which honestly, Beauty Bay is so wonderfully priced. It's still in that $20-something range, which y'all know how I feel about these expensive ass palettes. So I'm glad that it's super cheap. What I also kind of appreciate is that they have been doing this with some of their palettes, is that there's a mega palette, so it's super duper large, and then they have like a midi, and then they have a mini. So there is a 9-pan available. The only thing that I'm seeing here, well, it looks like the 9-pan is all matte. It looks like the midi palette is a mix of mattes and shimmers, and then the mega palette is like mattes and shimmers. So that's the only issue, is that if you do want the mini palette, it's only matte shadows from what I can tell in this photo. So it's a lot of those grounding mattes, the grays, the whites, the blacks, the deep browns, all of those cool tone mattes that you would need. And then the midi size palette, and I'm calling it midi, I don't think it's actually called that. That one is where you'll get the shimmers. So I don't think anybody needs the mega palette. It is way too large, you guys. Nobody needs a palette that big. It's stupid difficult to store, and like a lot of the shades are going to be like redundant or repetitive or, you know, very similar on the eyes. So just my 2 cents there. That's going to be available on the 26th as well. I feel like the 26th has a ton of launches coming, you guys. I'm going to skip pretty much all of these fragrances, even though this flower one is kind of cute. But I'm just not in the market for any fragrances. So I'm just going to skip that just generally. And I'm going to skip quite a few things because I really want to focus on the makeups. And there's been a ton of launches. And like I said, I missed last week. So I'm trying to, you know, just get it together. Okay, so this palette is currently on my wish list. And apparently it's not limited edition. I don't know if Notoriously Morbid heard our cries or what, but Notoriously Morbid has released their new Paint the Town Red palette. And in true Notoriously Morbid fashion, they told us about it on Thursday and released it on Friday. I appreciate when brands don't drag out like a release. Like, don't tell us or sneak peek something for 2 weeks and then, you know, like, that's too long. But give us a little bit more heads up. And also, please give us swatches on deeper skin tones. Like, could we just get both? Like, I don't know. I'm, like, torn on Notoriously Morbid. I was this close to buying this palette, you guys. This close. And I really, really do want it. And they did say that their fulfillment times are whatever's listed on their website, which I think is still at minimum, like, 6 weeks. So it's going to take a while for this to come through. And I just, you guys know, something in my spirit, something in my gut, something in my intuition is telling me, like, hold off. Don't shop from this brand just yet. Give them time to get their ish together. So I haven't jumped the gun, but I will say this is on my wish list because when it comes to red eyeshadows, I love red eyeshadow. And this palette is only $34.99, so $35. It's a 9-pan. All of these are handmade, hand pressed. You guys know I adore the Notoriously Morbid formula, and this just screamed chef's kiss for me. But I don't know. I want to see it swatched out on a deeper skin tone, and they haven't done any of that because, like I said, they released this on Thursday. They sneaked the pictures on Thursday, which are only swatched on that light and then they made it available on Friday. Like, I have so much mixed emotions about this, but this is on my wish list, $35, and I'm actually kind of keeping a running tally of like what my wish list will cost if I buy everything, because this week those products got me, you guys. They got me like doing backflips and turning head, like it's going in a good direction, I will say that. So one thing that did not turn my head is this new release from Viseart, because when I tell you I am confused because how are these two palettes different? Like, if you didn't tell me that these were two different quads, I never would have guessed it. I never would have guessed that these were two different quads. These look like the exact same quad. I am so confused by what the difference is. And the truth is that the difference is so minute, so minuscule, that it doesn't even make sense that these are two separate quads. And it's like almost comical. Now, price-wise, this is $25, which I guess seems appropriate. But these palettes are small, and I mean like small. But even looking at how these are swatched out onto that deep arm, this is kind of dusty looking. I'm not gonna lie. It doesn't look like it has it definitely doesn't have a ton of depth. Like, you can see it on the deep arm that there's no depth to this. It's a cool tone leaning palette. I just think that this is gonna look dusty on me. I don't know. I just don't understand what this is supposed to be, because it looks like the exact same palette in two different, like, it's just weird. Okay. But let's talk about this palette that did catch my eye, you guys. So, Esom Cosmetics, they have their new Artistry number 3 palette Harmony. It is available now for subscribers. So, if you subscribe to their newsletter, you can actually purchase this. Now, it's $80. You guys know how I feel about the Esom Cosmetics formula. Just saying. And in addition to you guys knowing how I feel about the Esom Cosmetics formula, I just want y'all to know that I have this. I will be doing a full video on it. They did send it to me in PR. Y'all know I'm honest to like the core. And I probably would have bought this anyway because I'm just like obsessed with it. So the palette is like an extension of their matte palette. If you have or if you've seen their matte palette, it is sort of just neutrals. You get some cool tone neutrals, some warm neutrals, and like one plum color. This gives you a little bit more peachy and plummy vibes. And it also does have like a couple more warmer shades in there. So I like that they are extending their matte palettes and that they've added this to the range. And I'm hoping that means that the next step is going to be those colorful mattes to really pull that all shimmer colorful palette together. So I just think that this is a perfect extension to the line, and I'm excited to see what else they have coming. Okay, so let's talk about the Groovy Garden palette from Ensley Rain, y'all. When I saw this, I was like, this might be the palette. This might be the one. This might be the thing that makes me buy Ensley Rain. First and foremost, this palette is $69, which personally I think is still quite expensive. But considering the palette that I wanted from them, which was their Harvest Moon palette, was $88, and I just couldn't get behind that, $69 felt better and more appropriate. Because $69 is actually, in my opinion, on par with what Adept Cosmetics charges. And if you look at the number of shades, I do believe that this offers more shades than the Adept palettes. That being said, Adept palettes are very, very shimmer heavy, and this is a very, very matte heavy palette. So still, I don't, and you all know, mattes are cheaper to make. So still, from a cost value perspective, I do still think that this is pricey. But we're not going to get into that. But I could get behind a $69 palette, plus with a discount code, it brings it down to actually like $62, not including shipping, which I've heard is about $13. So that's something to keep in mind. So this is, you get 21 shades because each row is 7. And 7 of those shades are going to be those multi-chromes. And you know what got me on this palette is that red, orange, fiery multi-chrome at the end. The reason is because if you've been following me for some time, and this is like going way back into the waybacks, Adept Cosmetics had this House of L palette. And there's that one shade in the palette, Zorel, that has had my heart. I wear that to every concert that I attend. It's just like a beautiful, fiery multi-chrome, and I have not been able to dupe it at all. And with the Adept palette, it's discontinued now, so I can't get that shade again. So I'm curious as to whether this red shade in this Groovy Garden palette is going to be similar or in some ways a dupe for that House of L shade, because y'all, when I tell you that shade has my heart, has me in a bit of a chokehold. It has me in a chokehold. I also will say that I do think that this palette caught my eye too because it is that sort of spicy neutrals vein. Like you guys know, I have been leaning a lot more towards neutral palettes, neutral color stories. And that's probably why like I fell in love with the Adept Flying Fiddles palette, because it's their take on neutrals. And I'm like appreciative that indie brands are creating their takes of neutrals, and it's not just like a standard boring beige palette. Like they're making spicy neutrals, as I like to call it. And this to me screams spicy neutrals at a price point that I am able to swallow better. So this might be the Ensley Rain palette that I buy. It really might. It really, really might. Because I'm also hella curious. I have heard nothing but rave reviews from creators who have tried Ensley Rain. That being said, 90% of the creators that I've seen do rave reviews on it will send the product in PR. I'm not saying that that means anything because I'm also somebody that receives PR. So I'm not saying PR equals a great review. What I will say though is that oftentimes I don't see a lot of creators follow up with, would I have picked this up on my own, and is this worth the price? I think that that is something that a lot of reviews tend to be missing, because something can be great, but like great for the price is also a different point. Either way, I think I'm going to get this one, so that adds another $69 to what I'm probably going to end up spending. Okay, there are more things in this collection, including some loose pigments. I'm not buying any of that. I have a couple of those. I never use them. It's a waste of my money. So they have some loose pigments. The singles, the multi-chromes, you can actually get as singles. They're $18 a piece. The loose pigments are $17 a piece. They have some lip glosses available. That's $16. A lip lacquer, which I'm assuming is a lipstick, is $12. And then the lip oils, which are pH changing, that's $14. I don't care for any of those other products in the lineup. I just want to try the palette. That's really it for me. So if you guys want to see me try the Ensley Rain formula and give y'all my honest, like, just raw opinions on is this really worth it, let me know. I'll do it for science. Oh my god, why am I so loud? Okay, let's keep on moving. Okay, let's talk about this Lisa Eldridge release, because the way I choked on my coffee when I saw this come out, I was like, ain't no way, Lisa. So Lisa Eldridge has been teasing this kitten collection, and it turns out it's actually a mascara and an eyeliner. The mascara is $36 and the eyeliner is $32. I don't know about y'all, but I'm not paying $36 or $32 for a mascara or an eyeliner respectively. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. And mind you, Lisa Eldridge is, I think, the only brand at this point that I know that does not do sales. I have never seen Lisa go on sale. So there's not a chance in which you are going to get this at a discounted price. And you can get a phenomenal eyeliner for so much less than $32. You could probably buy at least 5 eyeliners. Maybe 3, if I'm being honest. You can get a solid 3 eyeliners for $32. To pay $32 for one eyeliner, no way. And personally, things like liners, mascaras, lip liners, I don't think the formulas are that significantly different across a lot of them that justifies the price. I feel like it doesn't even make a ton of sense to me. And looking at the packaging of this, I can't even say that it's the packaging that's driving this up, because the liner packaging looks exactly like the Sephora eyeliner that I'm using currently. And the mascara packaging, it looks so basic. Like, are you kidding me? Come on. Come on. That being said, this is quite on par with Lisa's prices. Lisa is a luxury brand, so it makes sense that her prices of these other products are going to be super expensive. So I get it. It's on par with where she set herself up to be, but I'm not buying it. If you want a good mascara, the Blend Bunny new one is, I believe, $13 if I'm remembering correctly, and it's actually really nice. I'm wearing it on my eyes today. I've been wearing it non-stop for since I got it, so it's been about what, 2, maybe 3 weeks. No, not 3, but at least 2 weeks I've been wearing it nonstop. Yeah, it's amazing. So yeah, don't spend that money, you guys. Okay, so we have a new release from Tom Ford. You guys know I only purchase Tom Ford once it gets to the cosmetics company store, so I'm not buying any of this, but I do want to share it with you guys. There's a new highlighter, which looks like every other highlighter that they have. And the eyeshadow palette is kind of cute. It's called Emerald Dusk. It looks like it's going to be all kind of shimmers, though. So it's like, it might be those one and done type of shades. I'm assuming that this is going to retail for $90. Typically, that's where their quads are. I think I've only seen one quad for like $95. And it must have been like a super exclusive limited edition one. But for the most part, it's a $90 quad. And I could 100% see this ending up at the cosmetics company store. It also looks like they have, I don't think that this is a lipstick, but it might be, it actually does look like they're satin lips. Yeah, so it looks like they're like, no, it's the Ultra Shine lip color. So they do have some lipsticks coming out and a lip oil. Their lip products are okay. Overpriced. I don't think it's the best formula. If you want to spend a ton of money on a lipstick formula, get Lisa Eldridge. Like, honestly, as much smack as I just talked about Lisa's mascara and eyeliner, I can't say shit about her lipstick. Her lipstick formula is literally the best that I've ever tried. Just saying. Okay, keeping it moving, we have a new release from It's Belle Cosmetics. This is Under the Full Moon. This is really pretty, you guys. Oh, okay. I didn't realize it was so cheap. So it's only $32. This is not bad. And this is a 16-pan eyeshadow palette. It's definitely in that blue vein, which I think we're used to seeing. Like, I feel like every brand has that blue gold palette. I know Gourmand Girls, they came up with one somewhat recently. So you probably have this in your collection from a previous collection. Just saying that. If you did pick up the Gourmand Girls palette, I'm pretty sure you have pretty much everything that's in here. This is stunning though, and $32 is not bad for a 16-pan eyeshadow palette. That's not bad at all. And I think you can, yeah. And you can use, wait, hold up. It says you can use affiliate codes to make the price around $28. What? I wasn't planning to pick this up, but now I'm curious because $28 for 16 pounds. Now that is a price. That is a price I could get behind. There are also going to be lip glosses that are $15. And if you want the bundle, it's going to be $60. And that excludes discounts, which means I think you can add a discount on top of that and save more money. Y'all, this isn't bad at all. And one thing I will say about It's Belle is that they are one of the few, and I mean the few brands that have been very upright, forthcoming about the fact that they are using a private labeled formula. And honestly, that's the kind of honesty, transparency that I respect from a brand. So if you were in the market, not a bad price. Do I need a blue palette? So let me talk myself out to this, because the truth is I'm attracted to the price. Let's look at the color story. I don't need a blue palette. I have a number of blue palettes in my collection already. So in terms of does this fill a gap? No, I already have blue palettes in my collection. And the reality is I have been moving more and more towards neutrals. So I could see myself picking this up for a video. But in terms of longevity in my collection, I just don't think it would last that long, because this is a very, I don't know. I don't think I could get a ton of like neutral looks. Well, no, I wouldn't. Because I keep trying to talk myself into it, but it's like, you don't need this, you don't need this, you don't need this. I don't need it. Jamila, you don't need it. But I'm just going to add it just in case to my like calculation to see where I'm at in terms of budgeting. So I'm going to add the $28 price tag. Actually, yeah, let's do the $28 price tag, because it would be at the discount. Okay, when is this available? This is, oh, I think it's available not, well, no, it's available February 29th at 7 p.m. AST. I don't know what that means in Eastern Standard Time, but it's available on the 29th. All of these things are coming out at the end of February, so I have to be very, very strategic about what I can pick up, because I can't get everything, y'all. I really can't. Ooh. So Terra Moons has some new eyeshadow singles, and these multichromes are stunning. Y'all, Mission to Mars reminds me again of that Adept Cosmetics Zorel shade. Oh, that one has caught my eye. Capricorn is also really pretty, but I'm not seeing the shift in Capricorn. But I'm a Capricorn, so I'm curious about it simply because of that. Vampire Star, that's really beautiful. That blue-green tealish combination. And even that's, well, Space Trooper looks like VR's Extraterrestrial, which we've seen over and over again. But 3 of these have definitely caught my eye. Terra Moon singles are expensive, though. You buy 3 of those and you could purchase a whole eyeshadow palette. So I'm just gonna admire from afar and keep on moving, because I'm already over $100. So budget-wise, I'm cutting it close. I'm definitely gonna be cutting it real close. Okay, let's keep moving along. So Viseart is, I don't think that this is new, but it looks like they might have restocked their matte palettes. Yeah, Cool Mattes 1. I think they're bringing this back, or they're restocking it. You can get it in, looks like a couple different sizes. If you get the big one, it's $80. I don't know, y'all. I think I'm this close to decluttering my entire Viseart collection. Or like a huge chunk of it, because I'm not using it. I'm really not. For a couple of reasons. One, I have my Esom palettes, especially my Esom matte palettes. They don't cover the gamut though. Esom has some gaps when it comes to their mattes. So, but I've been using the neutrals to like ground a lot of my looks and to travel with. So I have my Esom palettes there. And then everything else I need in between, I pull from my Blend Bunny. Like, between Esom and Blend Bunny, I feel like I have all the mattes that I could want, need, or use. Like, I have everything I need between the 2 of them. And the Viseart mattes leave a lot to be desired. I'm sorry, the Viseart shimmers leave a lot to be desired. So, I think I want to declutter them, but something about it, just, I can't get to that point. So, at some point I have to make a decision, but it really does stress me out, because I gotta figure it out. I can't keep just holding on to a bunch of palettes from Viseart that aren't being used. And when I tell y'all I have a ton, I have a sizable Viseart collection. So, let me see. It might be right here, so I can show you guys it. These are all of my Viseart palettes right here. So, I have some of the old, big ones. And these are super duper old. That's kind of like the original ones. And then I'm pretty sure all of these here in this packaging I've never used. I don't think I've ever used these as well. I think I may have only used these big ones in the clear packaging. But everything else here, haven't touched. So in terms of how much, this is what? 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I have 12 Viseart palettes. And of that, I may have only used 4, which is unacceptable. So Milk Makeup has a new hydrating sheer tinted lip oil. It's going to retail for $26 a piece. I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of over all of the lip products because in my opinion, a lip oil is a lip oil is a lip oil. And all of these brands coming out with their own version of a lip oil that does the exact same thing as the other brand's lip oils. And the prices are all over the place. Like, if I've said it once, I'll say it again. Put some Vaseline on your lips and keep it moving. Okay, so Hourglass has their Unlocked Soft Matte Lipstick. I can't tell if this is new in terms of formula or if this is an extension to their shade range. I don't know why I feel like this already exists and these just may be new shades. That's kind of where I'm at. What I will say is though, looking at these swatches, these are really nice. Like, these are pretty swatches. And quite frankly, every single shade looks like it would work on a deeper skin tone. Just looking at the swatches on that deep arm. Like, you know, there are a couple that do need a lip liner to make it really, really work. But, like, overall, it's really beautiful. And I don't know what a soft matte formula means. I'm assuming that it means that it's comfortable, but it's not super matte so that it might transfer. But it's pretty. Now, it is $38 a piece, so it's not cheap. Hourglass is a luxury brand, so it definitely makes sense. But I feel like when it comes to lipsticks, once I get to that $30-something price point, my brain just automatically says, just buy Lisa Eldridge, because Lisa is $36, and I just feel like I would rather invest in her than in any other lip product brand, because she's really the only one that I found to be comfortable, to last super long, and just is my favorite lip formula just overall. Sonia G has, I feel like this is an extension, but it's the Tradition series. This is a limited edition set of handcrafted brushes made in Kumano, Japan. It's 4 brushes, $200 for the set. I do believe that these are also available as singles, so if you want, you can purchase just the brushes that you want. These are beautiful. These are stunning. I don't know if these are necessarily shapes that I need or would use that often. So I decided to skip on this set. Like, I know I've said that I want to invest in Sonia G brushes and really build out a natural hair brush collection. But I just don't think that this is the set that I want to start with. I also want to acknowledge that I talked to my friend Sensore, who has worked with Sonia G in the past, has gotten their PR, and has a huge Sonia collection, and just a huge Fude collection in general. And, you know, because I asked her, like, where should I start, essentially? Like, and she really recommended another series over this one. And I think that in, you know, building my Sonia G collection, which I do have a number of her brushes already, I would just want to buy her Fundamentals set first, which one is cheaper because it's not, the artistry behind these are just more, and I think these are better bristles, which is why it's more expensive. But I think I just want to start with her Fundamentals, like get her Fundamentals before I start getting all of these limited edition sets. So I decided to skip that one. But let me know if you purchased it. Let me know what your thoughts are. I don't think I've seen any videos on it just yet, but I know people have gotten theirs in. All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. The Natasha Denona Hyper Natural Face Palette. First and foremost, this palette is $62, which is typical Natasha pricing. I have no issues with the Natasha Denona price. Where I am bothered, tickled, and confused is the fact that this is being advertised as a universal face palette. And if you follow me on Instagram, you know this. I commented on a post that Sophia Sees Beauty had done on her community tab on YouTube, asking us, like, what do we think about it? And I said very innocently, like, you know, I'm just upset that this is being marketed as a universal palette when it is quite clear that this is not going to work on deeper skin tones. I don't think that we necessarily have to always wait for swatches to figure out, like, is it going to work for us when we know it's not going to work for us. And I think that the response to that I got was kind of like, the responses that I got to that was just stupid. I'm just going to say that. For a couple of reasons. It's been argued that this is meant to be a natural, no makeup palette, so it's meant to be sheer on the skin. It's not supposed to show up as pigmented as, like, a standard palette. There's a difference between being share and just like not showing up at all, or being ashy. Because there's no way you could tell me that this is going to work for a deeper skin tone. Then there's the argument that, okay, this is a completely new formula, which is more expensive to make, and maybe they're trying to figure out if this works before they extend the shade range. And that to me is probably the biggest bullshit I've ever heard. Because now you're basically saying, we need to find out first if white people like it before we create it for darker people. Excuse me? Because why is it that we're the afterthought? Why is it that our opinions don't matter? Because you don't want to hear if people of deeper complexions, you're basically saying you don't want to hear people of deeper complexions think the formula works, because this does not work for us. And, you know, if it does, I will, you know, eat my words. But I have yet to see somebody of a deeper complexion try this on. And the people that I have seen swatch this, because there are a couple of, you know, tan creators that have swatched it, it has barely showed up on them. And I'm like, if it can't even show up on somebody who's tan light, medium, how is it supposed to work for dark, deep dark? That don't make no kind of sense. I also want to talk about the formats of this palette, because you have the bronzer contour shade, which, to be quite frank, the size of those pans for those 3 different shades, how are you supposed to be precise in getting like a bronzer brush to fit in there? Because from what I feel like most people have brushes that are bigger, fluffier when it comes to bronzer, which means that at the end of the day, you're going to end up swirling all of it together, because the pan sizes, in my opinion, are really only appropriate for the size of an eyeshadow brush. Like, I don't understand what you're supposed to do with it, because your brush is going to be too big. It's going to pick up every single shade, and that, what was the point of that? So when I look at the face products for this palette, which I get it, this was supposed to be face and eye, I see that at least 4 out of the 5 won't work for me. And this is me guessing that the dark pink blush will be the only thing that will work on my skin tone. So it's not universal. Like, it is not universal. There's no way you can tell me that this is a universal palette. This does not work for people of deeper complexions. And the thing that's frustrating about this is that Natasha Denona has done light and deep palettes in the past. So why would you backtrack and now give us a palette that's not going to work for people of deeper complexions? Like, you just changed your mind and said, it's okay. The black people won't care. Like, like, I don't understand how you just suddenly switch it up, change your mind, and decide that you're not gonna do this. And, you know, Tasha has a history of being able to, like, of doing that also too with like her glam palette, where the shade names were arranged in very specific ways, where it was like, this is a transition shade, and like people of deeper complexions were like, for who? Not for me. So it's not exactly like Tasha has been clean in all of this and has not had issues with being not inclusive. So it rubbed me the wrong way when she threw this out there. I'm not buying this. I'm not gonna waste my money on this. What I will say is, because I've said this in the past too, is that I understand that not everything is for everybody. I fully don't think that brands have to create something that everybody's gonna love, everybody's gonna use, because there's different, you know, preferences, skin types, skin tones, all of that fun jazz. So it's a brand's prerogative to create whatever the hell they want and exclude whoever the hell they want in their releases. We see it all the time when a brand will release an ashy eyeshadow palette or whatever the case is. My issue is the fact that this is being marketed as universal, when that is just complete bullshit. It's not. It's not a universal palette. Like, so, I think that this is dumb. Just my opinion. But let me know. Like, what do you guys think? Have you seen anybody with deeper complexion use this? I have not, and the ones that I've seen that are in that tan range also don't seem to get a lot of pickup and pigment from it. And even if it is meant to be that natural, no makeup, it's not. I also had one person comment and say, this is going to oxidize, so it's going to look deeper on the skin than it does in the pan. If a product oxidizes that much that what works for somebody who's light can now work for somebody who's deep dark, I would be hella concerned about the oxidation of that product. Unless this is some new magical formula that I don't know nothing about and it works that way. But that is what I was like, that don't even make any sense. And then to end the comment off with, as a tan person. Okay, boo, you are tan, but I am dark. Dark, deep. Now I'm in the medium deep category because it's winter time. But just because it works for you who are tan, let's just, can we all agree to stop telling dark, deep, dark women, or people in general, what will work for them if you are not dark. If you are not dark, if you are not deep, if you have never lived in skin that is deeper than a brown paper bag, please stop telling us what will work for us. We don't want to hear it. And you cannot say that it will work for us. Just saying. Okay, rant over. Let us continue on. I'm going to do like a couple more, and then I'm going to go about my day and mind my business elsewhere. So Pat McGrath, in true Patricia fashion, has a collab with Marc Jacobs. This is going to be a limited edition red lipstick. You know, I think this is one of the existing red lipsticks, and they just put it in new packaging. And I don't want to laugh because, like, because Patricia is the biggest comedian that I know. She keeps releasing things that don't make any sense, and like, really, like, I feel like she needs to be walked, like, the brand needs to be walked through the square and we just yell shame, because what is happening? It's just one lipstick too, right? So it's just one lipstick in a red that I don't think we have a shade name for, but I would love to see people compare this to other reds in her collection, because something tells me this already exists and they just put it in new packaging. We all know Patricia has a knack for doing that. And I want to scroll down to also talk about her re-release of Divine Rose 2. Let me see if I can find that, because I meant to talk about that too. Because when I tell y'all Patricia is a comedian, Patricia is a comedian. Like, there's no way. First of all, they renamed Divine Rose 2 to Heart's Desire. What? And then they put this in gold packaging. And not only that, they raised the price to $150. Patricia, what are we smoking over there at Pat McGrath Labs at Patricia Health Headquarters? Because I don't understand who thought that this was a good idea. First and foremost, Divine Rose 2 has been out for several years. I'm pretty sure it came out in 2020. So everybody who wanted it already has it. So it's not like this is a palette that is relatively new and people will, you know, rush to get it. And even then, when it came out in that limited edition pink packaging. And Pat McGrath shadows also already have a ton of product in them. So there's no real reason to buy a new one if you haven't used up the product. So I don't understand why this is the palette that they chose to release in limited edition packaging. I don't know if it's the one that sold the best, but I was just like, why? And the timing of this just didn't make sense. I was like, is this the Valentine's Day release? Now, last year when Valentine's Day was rolled around, we got a Valentine's Day collection that had those like 3 palettes. I think that's when she also released her liquid eyeshadows. So we had a whole collection. And it feels to me like somebody got lazy and was like, oh shucks, y'all, it's Valentine's Day. What we gonna do? And then they were like, you know what? Let me take this palette, put it in some gold packaging, and re-put it up and re-upload it to the website. Because I don't understand the reason for this. And I also equally don't understand why the price went up. Like, it's now $150 because y'all put it in some gold packaging. I mean, granted, it's not a sticker, which is what she did with that last, you know, limited edition release. So there is some benefit to, like, okay, maybe it cost them a little bit more to make this packaging. But I don't understand the point of this. It literally makes 0 sense. None whatsoever. This don't make a lick of sense. So I'm genuinely concerned that Patricia is trolling us at this point. I feel like somebody there is like, huh, what else can we try today? we have to be being trolled because this don't make any sense, y'all. Okay, and then I'm going to end on this because this video is already about an hour long and I'm just trying to get my life together. Well, actually, I have 2 things that I want to talk about. One, I've figured it out. One of you guys told me that the Beyonce hair care line is called Sacred. So thank you for sharing that. I will say that I'm intrigued and I'm kind of interested in the brand because, well, they released prices for the products. And now that I've seen it, it's actually kind of on par with other hair care lines, so it's not stupid expensive. I thought it was going to be crazy expensive. It's in that $30 range, which honestly, a lot of like just natural hair care lines tend to be in that range. So it didn't seem overly expensive. What did kind of rub me a little bit off about the brand is I saw like a ton of videos from creators on the Sacred like hair care line release, and it was just everybody was like in bundle, like no one had natural hair, and I think even the models that they brought out didn't have natural hair. So I feel like I'm like, okay, so this was just a party and people came in with their wigs and their weaves and whatever, which fine, do what you got to do, like if that's what makes you feel the most beautiful. But I would like to see, I really want to see this in action and on like just regular people with their natural coily kinky hair, to see if this is gonna work for me, because I can't, I don't know, something about it just rubbed me the wrong way. And I remember talking to Kara about this, and I was like, I don't even want it no more. Everybody that's there got weave all the way down to their knees or a wig, and I'm like, and then the models came out and they were wearing wigs too, or at least like they had to have been wigs, because the models came out and I was like, that's not their hair. So I was just confused. Anyways, we'll see if I even pick it up. Maybe, I don't know where it's gonna be sold. Definitely not if I have to buy through her website. I need it to be at like a Target or a Walmart or somewhere I could return it if I'm just not feeling it. But I'm curious, just saying. Okay, the last thing that I want to talk about is the Denona Myricks water powder serum, and then the Yummy Skin Moisture Repair Balm Serum. These things are so long. So the Yummy Skin Mattifying Water Powder Serum with niacinamide and hyaluronic acid. Ooh, that's long. So this is meant to be a mattifying product. It has the kaolin clay, it has niacinamide. And because I have like oily skin now, I'm very interested in trying this, because I definitely want to, you know, focus on products that will mattify. Because like right now, see, oily. So I want to see if this works well. I also am curious to see if this is better than the blurring balm powder, the translucent one, or if this adds to it, helps it, makes it better. I'm just curious as to see if those will work good together. So this is going to be available for $36. I think I might just wait until the Sephora VIB sale, which is coming up in April, to pick it up, which will give me time to watch a couple of reviews and see how folks are really feeling about it. And then the other product is the Yummy Skin Moisture Repair Balm Serum with hyaluronic acid and squalene. And I think this is the more hydrating version of the other products. Like, it's very interesting, the products that Denona puts out. But I do think that this is meant to be more hydrating. So it has hyaluronic acid, blue tansy flower extract, and Centella asiatica. This retails for $38. Now, both of these are available at Sephora and at the Denona Myricks website. So I am quite curious about both of these, because it definitely feels like skincare, skin prep for makeup. So I'm intrigued. So those are the two that I want to buy. So let me actually add that to my count. So it's 38 plus 36. So based on all of the things that I'm interested in, which is about 4 or 5 products, I'm looking at around $200. That doesn't include tax, shipping, or any of the other costs that comes with buying products. Now, that's not bad. I don't know if I'm going to buy everything. I have gotten really good at literally just sitting with my feelings when there's a new release and letting it simmer for a couple of days before I purchase anything, because I've realized that when it comes to new releases, what I thought I wanted, I actually don't. For example, I know in my last video I talked about the Odin's Eye release and the fact that I was really interested in it and that I would most likely pick it up, but I skipped out on everything. You know, I thought that I would at least for sure purchase Tina's collection because I would want to support her. But when I really sat with it, one, there are other ways to support that doesn't just mean me throwing money away, because that's what it would have been, because I would have used the palette once for a video and never again. So there are other ways to support that don't include me just throwing money away. And when I really looked at the color stories, I didn't really like any of them. I love Tina's artwork. Her palette was beautiful. But when I looked at the color story, interestingly enough, after DeAndre Nicole put her swatches up, I realized that Tina and Annette's color stories are very similar. Like, it took me a minute looking at these swatches to realize that they were 2 separate palettes. And I was like, oh, that's good to know, because I would have purchased 2 and then gotten it and then been like, wait, hold up. And as we all know with indie brands, there's no real return process. So, again, me throwing money away that I just can't afford to do. So I realized that looking at these swatches, I was like, oh, okay. I'm not obsessed with this. I'm not in love with this. Is it pretty? Yes. Would I use it? Yes, for a video, but it would not be a staple in my collection. I could see it being decluttered pretty quickly. So after sitting with that, I decided to skip the entire Odin's release. So that's kind of where I'm at in like everything, is that I'm gonna sit with it a little bit. If it keeps popping up in my mind, if I keep thinking about it, then I'll pick it up, which is how I ended up picking up the Rem Beauty line, because I had been thinking about it. I was super curious. The price was right. So I was like, you know, plus it was returnable. And let me just say, this spray, this goes right back. I don't know if that, it's not that it didn't mattify, because it didn't. I feel like it made my skin oilier faster, which, it was like voodoo magic. I felt like I was so greasy, y'all. You could fry, bake. You could make a whole bacon shack on my face. And that's a problem for me. So there's that. So that's what it is. I'm going to sit with a lot of these releases so I can figure out if I really do want to spend $200 on the products that have caught my eye thus far. Okay, so that is it. I know that this was a long one. I was kind of making up for 2 weeks worth of new makeup releases. So thank you for sitting with me. I hope you guys did enjoy your libation or your tea or whatever it is you had with me. You guys know I appreciate y'all so much for like just being here and for rocking with me. I also want to say just a huge thanks to the folks that continue to comment under my videos, because I know it's not easy, and I know that there are some dumb, stupid people out there that won't agree with your opinions and that can be very harsh in commenting. So sometimes you just don't want to do it at all. So I want to say, like, I appreciate you guys so much for continuing to engage on this content. And for always being so respectful. You guys are like the real ones. But as always, you know what to do. At the end of the video, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe on your way out if you enjoyed today's video and you want to see more from me. Leave a comment down below letting me know if you're planning on picking anything up. If you have any thoughts about any of the releases that I shared about. And if you don't know what to comment, please give us a big old orange heart. And whatever else you want to leave, because y'all have y'all own comment, y'all own emojis too, and I love that too. So go ahead, leave that comment down below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you so much more than you know, and I'll catch you in my next one. Bye!